Hello and welcome to a look at Kid Chaos for the Amiga, a game that was developed by Magnetic Fields and released by Ocean. I will assume you want the plot, so I'll give you the plot and I will give you it straight from the page if you want. Kid Chaos was a happy-go-lucky cave kid until evil scientists from far into the future kidnapped him with the aid of a time machine and transported him from the Stone Age to the 21st century. The scientists experimented on him in the many worlds of the artificial environmental center that they had created in their enormous laboratory. He was locked up and forced to wear modern clothes, but allowed to keep his club. Kid wasn't dumb, so he played along, waiting for a chance to escape. Kid knew that the time machine was hidden beyond the final room of the AEC, but unfortunately the exits to each section were guarded by powerful force fields. One day he overheard the scientists talking and discovered that the power sources for the force fields were disguised in his surroundings as scenery. If he smashed enough scenery, then maybe the exit would open. That night he summoned all his strength and broke through the bars of his cage. The kid had escaped. Can you help him get back home? The plot may be a bit far-fetched, but it is as good as any other plots for games of this type, so I will let that slide. You are in control of Kid, and as you can likely gather based on the previous reading, your job is to navigate several different levels of smashing objects and finding the exit, and then move on to the next level and repeat the process. Depending on what world you are in, the scenery can be of various different kinds. In the Secret Garden, the scenery you need to smash is portrayed as flowers. It doesn't matter whether it's yellow or red flowers, they both count towards the objective. Obviously, only having those things to deal with would be too easy, so you will have various different enemy types, again based on the scenario that you are currently in. In Secret Gardens, you deal with flowers and rabbits and rats and bats and all sorts of other interesting creatures that you can either bypass or defeat. Kid is able to walk, run, and jump, and while jumping, he can rotate while swinging his club, causing him to smash anything in the way, whether it's an object or an enemy. And you also have the option to, when Kid is running at high speed, to enter a whiz mode, which is run by default by holding down the joystick while moving at maximum speed, and he will effectively roll through objects, smashing them just like when he is jumping. Each scenario, of which there are 5, consists of 3 main stages and a final challenge level. On the final challenge level, Kid will have to smash at the object on the screen or in the final challenge thing within a certain time limit, or he will lose a life and get sent back. Once that level is completed, he will be given a password that can be written down and entered at a later stage, so you can carry on from that point onwards. After completing a level, you will get a rundown of what you have done, how much you've destroyed, how many nasties you've killed, and how many apples you have picked up. On top of that, you will also get awarded points for finding extras and time remaining. And that is something I will get back to a bit later on in this video. When you start a new level, you will be given general hints as to what the level involves, and then you will be given a time limit, a destruction rate, and a damage factor. The destruction rate is how much scenery you have to destroy in order for the exit to unlock. The time limit is obviously how much time you got to do set destruction of objects, and the damage factor is how much damage Kid will take if he hits an enemy or a trap of some description. And that can be very important depending on what level you are on. Let us cover the interface to make things make more sense. In the top left side you have your score, and obviously that increases when you do things that increases your score. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, I suppose. And underneath that you have your timer or time limit thing for the stage you're on. Bottom left side you have a counter for how much you need to destroy, and that is zeroed out. The exit is open and you can go and locate the exit and make use of it, of course. Underneath that you have your lives counter, and to the right of that you have your health counter. And that is where the damage factor comes in, because Kid can have 99 health points, and the damage factor is determining how much damage he will take when he hits something. But there is a health restore mechanic in this game. Kid will slowly, over time, generate health, and you can speed up that process by picking up apples. And that is more important than you may think, because of course once you start getting into levels where the damage factor is 50 or higher, Kid can tolerate one hit and then the next hit will kill him or make him lose a life, whatever you define it as. And having the option to take a breather and stop for a few seconds and regenerate enough health to be able to survive another hit is quite a welcome little thing. Small, but quite significant for the gameplay. I will let the graphics speak for themselves, with the two exceptions. First and foremost, people have been complaining about Kid looking a bit blocky, but he is a Stone Age kid in a modern society, so that makes a certain amount of sense, I suppose. But also the fact that he's going to be spending an awful lot of time in the air spinning, so him not being particularly super hyper detailed is not necessarily an issue. But the movement of the graphics is exceptional. Kid can move at quite a speed, and if he finds a rocket power-up that will double his movement speed, he can reach obscene speeds, and at any point during that speed, he will be remaining dead center in the screen. The game will not fail to have him staying there. He will not run out of the screen. The game will not chop in any way, shape or form. It is as silky smooth as it gets. Sound effects and music both support the game and game style and gameplay type perfectly fine. You will likely find that there's one or two sound effects reused from the Lotus series, which I suppose is a nice little touch. Nothing stands out, nothing frustrates, nothing does anything out of what it needs to do, which is to support the gameplay, and both sound effects and music does that quite well. But then we get to the controls, which is going to be the defining factor in your enjoyment of this game. Moving left or moving right will cause Kid to move left or move right, but in the options menu you have a choice between using up to jump or fire to jump, and personally I would definitely recommend using fire to jump. Because this game is a momentum-based game, which of course means that depending on the speed Kid is moving at, he will be able to jump a certain length, height, distance, all that good stuff. But it is also combined with the fire button timing. So if you just tap the fire button, Kid will do a skip, but if you hold it down a bit longer, he will jump a bit higher and a bit further, and if you hold it down longer still, he will jump higher and further again. And that combination of movement speed and button timing is going to initially make the controls feel incredibly sluggish and incredibly slippery and borderlining unresponsive. Taking the time to mastering the controls is going to define how much you will enjoy this game. Because if you master the controls and you get all the timings right for both movement speed and button press timing, you can produce some spectacular looking gameplay when Kid is just flying through the screens and hitting whatever he needs to hit and finding the exit. But mastering the controls can be a painful process because you have to be willing to accept the fact that you're going to miss jumps, you're going to miss timings, and all that kind of stuff, and you will likely be facing the game over screen more times than you may enjoy. I was referring to the timer earlier in the video, and there's a good reason for that. Because this game allows you to explore. But unlike many other games that also have exploration involved in the gameplay, this game actually gives you enough time to do so, which is a nice little and very welcome touch. Overall, if you take the time to master the controls of this game, it can be absolutely excellent and enjoyable. But if you don't want to take the time to master the controls, it's probably going to feel rather unenjoyable and outright frustrating to play. On that note, thanks for watching, take care, see you next time. Bye bye for now.